Good evening, Octane Infinity. This is the Hoosier Daddy, Saigon John here, and week two of our fantasy basketball league is now complete. Let's start off with Chris versus Jonas. After losing to Adam last week, it seemed Chris was on track for another losing season, but look out, Kenny Powers is for real, and Chris just took it to Jonas. Jonas, a contender every year, just never really got anything going this week. Didn't help that Stephen Curry got hurt, and Danny Granger just seemingly continues to struggle. And Chris got good numbers from Eric Gordon, Kevin Love, Joe Johnson, and from an unlikely source, Drew Holiday, the second-year guard for the Philadelphia 76ers, broke out this week with 34 assists to go along with his 73 points. Sorry for the thrashing, Jonas. It looks pretty bad, with the exception of having fewer turnovers and an insane accuracy at the foul line. Chris walks away with the most wins this week. Everybody, Chris defeated Jonas 7-2. Our second matchup is Good Mike versus Scott. Good Mike got spectacular numbers last week from Rajon Rondo and continued to do so against Scott in week two. Also, I know a lot of you GMs out there are down on LaMarcus Aldridge, but he seemed to have did pretty well this week for Good Mike. Led all scorers in this matchup for the week, and also had 7 blocks leading his team. But were his contributions good enough to beat Scott? Well, Hacksaw's team was led by the man who's currently number 2. The number 2 overall player in fantasy basketball according to Yahoo. I'm talking about Big Elton Brand for the 76ers. Certainly enjoying the new system under Doug Collins, it seems. EB led everyone in field goal percentage, and he had 7 blocks as well for the week. Scott's team won the percentage categories, but Good Mike reached just a little higher and tied Scott's in the three-pointers made, while getting decisive wins in rebounds and block shots. All the other categories were decisive as well, but in Scott's favor, he beat Scott. Scott beats Good Mike, 6-2, again with that tie in threes. Moving on now, it's Rene versus Evil Mike. Rene got some bad news earlier this week. Baron Davis just disappeared. No B Diddy, no assists. Hoop Kings just got killed in that category. Rene obviously had to make a personnel change there. Not to worry though, Rene. Evil Mike certainly made some moves, forcing himself to make some moves as well. More on that later. These two GMs split their percentage categories. Rene loses field goal percentage by under 1%, but he nabbed free throw percentage, threes, and points for the offense. Now, Rene also took blocks and turnovers decisively, while Evil Mike just got 13 more rebounds to take that category. This matchup does end up in Rene's favor, however. He defeats Evil Mike 5-3. Next, it's Adam versus Evan. The two-time defending champion took on Evan in his first year as the head GM of his own team, and I tell you what, Evan came to play. The Memphis Grizzlies had a busy week, and Rudy Gay just kicked ass for Evan. Big numbers across the board for him. Adam had his work cut out. His 3 keepers did well, Wade, Gasol, and Iguodala. However, Iguodala really struggled from the field, just shooting 41%. It got worse, though, for the jobbers. Channing Frye shot even worse than that. He shot just 23%. That's a big ouch. Evan captures the win in field goal percentage by just 0.6%, ladies and gentlemen. Evan moved on to win 3 of the next 7 categories, getting 3 steals and 3-pointers, steals, and turnovers, while Adam won free throw percentage. He won rebounds, assists, and blocks. It all came down to the Blazers versus Laker game tonight. Adam had Pau Gasol playing for LA, and Evan had Andre Miller for Portland. Before the game, Evan just led by 2 points, while Gasol was able to put up 20 points tonight against the Blazers. Andre Miller did the same for Portland with 20 points. So in this matchup has been decided, and Evan wins the category and the matchup 5-4. The decisive category, he wins points by just 2. The champ goes down to the newcomer again, 5-4. Way to go, Evan. And finally, it was Edwin up against me. I just can't stop smiling. I led 5-4 for the past couple nights, and throughout every game today, and it just came down to this last game. I pretty much had the head-to-head secured, but I did have something to gain here. I trailed Edwin before the Lakers versus Blazer game by just 10 points. So Edwin had Brandon Roy playing for the Blazers. I had Lamar Odom playing for the Lakers. Roy averaged 22 points a game versus Odom with just 15 a night. So it didn't look like it was going to happen for me to steal points. Both men played 30-plus minutes. Roy 31. Lamar actually played 34 minutes. But Brandon Roy shot just 1 for 6 from the field, finished only with 8 points. How did Lamar Odom do for me? Well, he shot 10 for 15 from the field en route to 21 points to go with his 12 rebounds. I steal another category and beat Edwin 6-3. What a finish. And now here are the league leaders for week 2. Scott was the only GM whose team shot above 500. My team shot just a shade below it at 499. So Scott wins, leads the league, or led the league in field goal percentage. At the foul line, again, I mentioned Jonas's squad had an insane accuracy. They shot 85.5% collectively. Chris wins 2 categories. He wins 3-pointers made as well as points, blasting the league at 728 points. Rebounds led by Good Mike with 281. Evil Mike, on the other hand, led in assists at 170. I thought Good Mike was going to have that with the week he had in week 1. Moving on, steals. Edwin led the league at 67. I led the league for the second week in a row in block shots at 41. And Evan, his team had the fewest turnovers at 64. So let's now take a look after 2 weeks. This is the standings. Scott and I lead our respective divisions with 11 wins. Not far behind is Adam and Chris, both with 10 and 8 records. Also tied at in third place is Chris and Evan. I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Evan and Edwin, the 2 E's, they both have 9 and 9 records. And then the final 4 with losing records, Rene, Evil Mike, Good Mike, and Jonas, rounding out the 10 teams in this league. Now here are the week 3 matchups. Evil Mike goes up against Jonas. Scott faces Adam. Chris takes on Good Mike. Evan matches up with Edwin, and Rene goes up against me. Looking at the waiver wire, there were a handful of moves made over the week. I mentioned Evil Mike before. He easily leads the league in moves at 15 right now. Will probably reach the maximum amount of moves by week 7 at the pace that he's going at. So most notably, he acquired this week Andres Biedrins, Mike Bibby, and the Knicks' Tony Douglas. Rene also picked up 3 notable names in Mike Conley Jr., Daniel Boobie Gibson, and the Knicks' Rony Turioff. Evan acquired Brendan Haywood after Jonas dropped him earlier this week. He also picked up Anthony Morrow, Marcus Thornton, and the Celtics' Jermaine O'Neal. Jonas added Spurs forward Richard Jefferson and the sensational rookie for the Clippers, Eric Bledsoe. The last GM to make a move this week appears to be Adam, who dropped Boris Diaw on Friday in favor of the shooting guard for the Milwaukee Bucks, John Salmons. Well, fellows, that looks like that's everything here from Octane Infinity Studios. This has been the Hoosier Daddy. I'm Saigon John, and boom goes the dynamite.